Since this is a demonstration video on an actual job site and they're pouring concrete in a couple hours, you're going to notice probably some small mistakes here and there. And that's because we just don't have time to do a second take to get the recording perfect. Also, my drone, I only got so much battery on my drone to film this. So with that being said, let's see what I can show you. Let's stop here a second and talk about the known point monuments on this project. So these are the points you're going to use to set up your instrument before you start laying out. And they need to be in a place where they're not going to get taken out. They need to be strong. They need to last the whole time. And they need to be spread out around the site. So you can see this is where we've placed them. And this is what they look like. And on the top, they have a prism mount, which is a bracket that fits the prism that comes with the LN-150 kit. And it holds it in the exact same spot every time when you take a shot. So you get a more accurate setup. And it's also faster because you don't have to plumb up a pole. It kind of eliminates the pole during setup, the prism pole. Something else you want to think about is where you are going to put your instrument, because you need to be able to see as many monuments as you can, and also the area that you're going to lay out. So I'm setting the instrument here. I can see all of these known point monuments, and I'm laying out in this area. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is set up the instrument, and we're going to set up anywhere. So Lazeman is the operator today. He's walking towards the first monument, getting the instrument to track the prism. Now he's selecting the point. This is CP4, and he's going to save the shot. Now he's going to measure his second point. So typically, depending on what you're laying out, you should set up on as many monuments as you can. But just for this demonstration, we're only going to do 4 because he's only going to use it to lay out the rebar dowel lines. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to show you. So he's selecting the point. It's tracking the prism, and he takes the shot. So you could see the live Kogo. It's telling you the difference between those two is 1/16. And then down at the bottom we see the review residuals. There's been 2 points, and it's accurate to within 1/16. Now he shoots this next shot, which is CP2. And it says 3/16. So I would have clicked on that again and remeasured it, and he probably could have got it down to 1/8 just by turning the prism to a different face. But it doesn't really matter in this situation because you could see our overall review residuals for 3 points is accurate within 1/8. So we're going to keep going. And the more points you would add during the setup, it would get more and more accurate. So if we had done like 6 or 7 points, it would probably be accurate within 1/16. So now he's shooting CP1. This is going to be his 4th point. And if you look at the live Kogo, it is 1/16. Now he's going to click Finish Setup. He's reviewing the horizontal deviation is 1/8 of an inch. That's pretty good. You could see the DX and DYs for each one of those is no more than 1/8. So we're going to finish the setup and keep going. Alright, so now we're going to lay out the dowel lines, and basically we're going to mark each one of these pieces of rebar that goes across with the center line of the dowels. And after they mark that, then they're going to put this long piece of rebar, and then they can start laying out the spacing of their dowels and tie it to that long piece of rebar. Now this is obviously after it's been done and the concrete's been poured. I'm just showing you what the finished product looks like. Alright, so now he's going to walk over to an area that is ready to have some dowels laid out. So basically we're just laying out the line. They'll look at the plans and see what the spacing is. It's probably like 24-inch on center. As long as they have the line, then they'll just use their tape measure to lay out each individual dowel. So you can see we're in layout points, and he's going to change it to layout lines once he gets this instrument tracking the prism. Alright, we're tracking. Now he's going to go to the applications at the top where it says layout points. And he's going to click layout lines. Now all he needs to do is select the line. And we're looking at the white number, not the purple number. That will get us on the line. Also, you could just look and see where you are and move it in closer to the line. And once you get on the line, it'll start saying, then start looking at your measurements. So you can see he's got his pole on a piece of rebar that's crossing the footing, and he's going to put a mark right there. And he's going to do that on most of those bars that cross. And then when they tie that long piece of rebar onto it, they've got a bunch of marks they can tie that bar to. One little mistake I want to point out is, you see how the red line has arrows and they're pointing down? Well, that affects if it says to go left or right. And if you notice, his left and right directions are backwards. So what he needed to do was rotate this line, and you just press this button here and it'll fix that. But either way, it doesn't matter to him because he's just getting on the line, and when it says 0, you're on the line. So, and we'll just watch him finish this line of dowels before we move on. Alright, next thing I want to show you is how to lay out dowels for concrete piers that are going to get poured later on top of this footing. So you can see we have 8 dowels sticking out of this footing, and we need to make sure that these are going to be within the concrete when we go to form up this pier later on. So you can see we've got 4 marks on these pieces of rebar crossing the footing, and that is where the face of concrete of the concrete pier, that's where that line crosses these pieces of rebar. And what that does is kind of creates a box that our dowels need to fall within. And so what we do is we lay out those 4 points on the piece of rebar, and then we take that stirrup and slide it around until it's right in the center of those 4 marks, and then tie it down, and then we tie the dowels to the stirrup. So to do this, we're going to use layout line and just select the different sides of the concrete pier. Okay, so here's Lazeman, and we're going to lay out these dowels for the concrete pier. So he's going to lay out lines, then he's going to select a line. You can see he's got the concrete pier selected. And he's going to get on that line where it crosses this piece of rebar. And once he gets a good point right there, looks pretty good. Then he'll go ahead and put a mark. So that's where the face of concrete of that pier is going to cross that piece of rebar. All right, and he's going to go lay out another face of this concrete pier. And you can see down at the bottom it says which layer he's currently got active, which line this layer is in, and it's in the lines concrete piers layer. And the reason our background drawing looks like this, we follow a standard operating procedure to make all of our background drawings the way we like it, to where it's just what we need to lay out, and it looks the same every time, and it's been verified and all that. All right, so you can see that he marked the 4 faces of that concrete pier. And now what he's going to do is he's going to grab this stirrup and place it so that it's basically centered within that pier. So he's got good concrete coverage all around it. And I'll speed the video up a little bit here. So he's just kind of measuring it, putting it in the center. Once he gets it pretty good, he's going to tie it down. So those 2 cross pieces of rebar that we marked, they don't have to be perfectly center in this footing, as you can see. Basically, we just threw them down, eyeballed it kind of center, and staked them down so they're secure, and then we lay out the concrete pier. Alright, so now he's just kind of making some extra marks for his dowels that are going to be on the center of the stirrup, because he's got 8 dowels, so put 4 in the corners, 4 in the center of the stirrup. Alright, and that's what it looked like later on in the day after they tied the dowels and poured the concrete. And the next phase would be to form up the pier on top and pour it. The next thing I want to show you is how we save our work from the previous day. So we are installing a lot of anchor bolts on this project for about 150 steel columns, and I want to send an as-built report at the end of this project to the GC showing that all of our plates are within tolerance. So what we do is we check what we did the day before we strip it and clean it. So before we take this plate off and take that wood out of there, we're going to go ahead and lay out the center of this plate. So I have a point at the center of this plate. It's SC and then a number so it's for steel column, number, whatever. And we're going to lay it out by putting the prism pole right on the crosshair of the plate and saving the point. And saving the point will allow you to make a report with this software. So we're going to save about 3 of these plates, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so he's in layout points. He's got the SC points selected. It's tracking him. Now once he gets its plumb and over the line, he's going to hit that blue button at the bottom. It's going to give him a preview. If you like it, you can hit that green check. So that one was good. That was within a 1/16 of an inch. And we'll go over and do a couple more. So every time you save these, it will change that SC point to like a filled circle, and it'll be green if it's good or red if it's bad. Right now that SC point's still highlighted, so it's blue. Once he selects another one, if you looked at that other point, it'd be green. which is nice because then you can, if you're zoomed out, you can kind of see all the points you've already saved and which ones you still need to save. And we're not checking elevation right now. We're just checking our horizontal tolerances of this plate. We just want to make sure this plate is in the right horizontal location. Later on, they'll grout these plates and set them to the correct elevation. But before we strip this, we want to go ahead and save these points. That way we know if something's wrong early on. Alright, so he's going to hit that blue circle at the bottom right to save it. And he's going to review the measurements. It's within tolerance. And he hits that green check to save it. So once the point is saved, you'll be able to create a report, and it'll show you all those deviations of your saved points. So hopefully they're all, 3/16 or better. And we'll send that to the GC for them to verify. That's what we did over at the other building, and all the steel went up perfectly fine without any issues. Alright, that one's good. It's within 1/16 of an inch. We'll save that. And that's good to go.